Happy Friday, everybody. I'm BJ, and this is This Week in WordPress. Every week, I bring you the best news, tutorials, and resources that were published this week in WordPress. So let's get to it and see what we can get into. All right, everybody, it is Friday finally, and we are here. We're going to talk. We're going to have so much fun talking about all of the stuff that was published in WordPress this week. So I wanted to thank all of you for being here. This is fantastic. I always appreciate you tuning in and seeing what we've got going on. The comments on YouTube are already going fantastically. People are asking questions and talking. Hello to everybody. There's been so much I can't say hello to everybody individually. There's been just so many, but hi everybody. There have been a couple of questions going on already in the comments, so if you're new here, what we do every week is we go through all of the stuff that was published this week, as much as I could find the interesting stuff that I think that you would really want to know about, and so we talk about it. You know, the links are in the description of this video, so we can follow along, we can bookmark stuff. My goodness, the notes that I keep from all of these have really helped out in the past when I've been looking for other resources. So feel free to click on any of them and give the content creators some love there. And we also have a very active comment section where people are talking, asking questions. So if you have anything that's come up this week in WordPress for you, feel free to ask. Feel free to talk to us about it. I do my best to monitor the comments and try to talk to everybody I can, and the same for that. We've already had one question from Reed on YouTube about how much he should charge a client to transfer their site to another host. They were sold a package by another agency before consulting him. So we've already got that question in there. So if you would like to throw in your thoughts on that, there will be a very good discussion on that on the YouTube channel in the live chat. So just wanted to throw that out there to everybody and see if we can get Reed in a good place on that one. So that said, like I always say, I just want to throw it out there. That's a good transition in that you guys have good ideas. You guys have all sorts of awesome stuff that you could say. We at Elegant Themes are taking on open blog submissions. So if you have an article that you've always wanted to write for us, throw it. There's a link in the description. It's the very top one. Throw it our way, and we will work with you on getting it published and refined. It is not... For exposure, we will pay you. It's $250, I believe, for every article that's published, and that is because we really want to make you. Not make you, we really want to showcase the work that you do, and we know that you guys are awesome at this. So, that said, the news this week, it was weird. I was going through my feeds. I have all of the stuff set up that I go through every week. And what was interesting this week is that I had under half actually, of the number of articles that were published that I usually go through during the course of the week. It was really crazy. So I don't know why. I'm not sure if people took off this week. I don't know what it was, but pretty much every one of my publications that I follow had a really low week. So you may find a few fewer links in the description, but the ones that are there are incredibly high quality. So I just see the looking through the comments before I get into the news, seeing what people are doing. That's true. Uncle Social said to Reed about looking at reseller hosting, things like that, because those do provide more tools for you to use. And if you guys aren't on reseller hosting, it's something that you might consider to do. I know that like Flywheel is built-in reseller. That's one of the things that they do. And cPanel transfers, I know that SiteGround transferred mine in from a different host for free. So some of them will do that. So there'll be... There are options out there, so there's a good discussion on that going on. I won't follow along outside. And Dave Steele on Facebook says he's looking for advice on the best place to learn WordPress and the Divi theme. Dave, I actually have a link in the description. It is under the, maybe under resources. Let me find it. It's actually the first one under tutorials. Everything you need to know to get started with Divi. That is, I was going to call it out later, but since you asked, I might as well say it. WPMU Dev did an article, did a tutorial that walks you through everything that you need to know about Divi. I am really, really proud of this article because they sum it up and they really do give you the basics of what you're looking at when you start with Divi. Also, I suggest going through the tour when you open up the builder on a new install, so that or it's available elsewhere to go through and learn it that way. And also the help menus, if you hit the question mark, you can see a video in the builder of any of the features that you're looking at that will take you directly to our documentation, and you can watch the video of how it works there. Other than that, there are a lot of different blogs that will do that kind of thing. I know that Divi Chat and Divi Space and Divi Cake all do things like that. They have fantastic different resources and tutorials and courses there, so those are some other ones. I'm sure everybody has some that they've used in the past. I actually ended up, whenever I started Divi, I know this is going to sound really weird, but when I started Divi, I used the Elegant Themes blog more than anything. That was what it was, because when I Googled things to find out, they were the first one that came up. So if you just search through our archives, there's a lot there that I'm not even saying as a plug for us. I'm saying because that's what I used whenever I did it. So but really check out the WPMU Dev one. That one is a great place to start. That is, they are good stuff. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to talk about under the news is that the try Gutenberg prompt, we can see what it's going to look like. That WP Tavern did just a quick article to show us that what it's going to be in the dashboard, because when the next update comes out, when 4.9.8 comes out, there's going to be a new banner that shows a new modern publishing interface is coming soon, and letting everyone know what Gutenberg is. So I want everyone to be aware. I'm trying to keep this in the news, trying to remind you guys of the clients that you're working with. They're going to see this when you update, unless you install the classic editor plugin. It's not necessarily a bad thing for this to be in there, but it's coming and you're going to get questions about it, especially if your clients end up updating things on their own. They're going to see this and be like, my entire website is changing, what do I do? So I want you to I want you guys to go through and check that out. Tobias says that the mic is not high quality. That is weird. No, I should be using this one. Let me check and make sure that I have got everything in there. Well, I will. Tobias, did that do any better right there? Did I have it on the wrong one? I think I may have. Tell me that is better than it was. That might not. Man, I can't hear it, so that was one thing that I can't do. That might have fixed everything. My mic is overloaded. You're absolutely right. How about that? No, there we go. Oh man, that sounds worse. Oh my God. How about that? I think that got it. No, we're just gonna. How about that? Did that actually get it fixed? Oh no, I hate this, you guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what even messed up on my echo. I didn't do anything different than I did. Did that stop? Okay, good. There we go. Some people are saying that it's too quiet. Better. Okay, awesome. Sorry about that, you guys. I really do apologize for that. I have no idea what caused that. So I clicked things, but yeah, the Gutenberg editor is coming up, and it's going to be put in. It's going to be put in with 4.9.8. Make sure that you tell your clients. Make sure that anyone you work with knows that this is going to be there. I apologize for messing with the sound. I will mess up. I will do my best. Even when I was testing it, it sounded good. Sorry, Judy. So now that that's out of the way, I wanted to also, while we're talking about Gutenberg, while I'm talking about Gutenberg, that there is a really good series of articles about it that North Carolina State University published that their IT department is doing. And WP Tavern brought this to my attention, and I was looking at this, and I've got a link to the actual series in there, as well as the another article, another list, and link, goodness gracious, under news. And they are trying to make sure that their faculty who are and staff who are using WordPress in a university setting end up that they end up using Gutenberg right, that they don't mess anything up when they make this transition. So he's put out a lot of series of tutorials just explaining what's going on, and this may be something that you want to utilize. So there's a link in the description. It's put out by, like I said, North Carolina State, and their information technician in their IT department is really, really doing good stuff. Like, those articles are fantastic. So read through those. I really want you guys to know about that. And no, Argante, I don't know about Gutenberg ramp. I'm going to look that up right now, though. Ramp to see. That's Gutenberg ramp. Yeah, I was talking to myself as I did it. Oh, that's neat. What he's talking about is activating Gutenberg Ramp plugin adds a settings screen where you can enable Gutenberg selectively for different post types, and for even more control, you can specify Gutenberg loading behavior and code. That's actually not a bad idea, that you can use it for pages over posts, or posts instead of pages, as your clients get used to it. That is an automatic plugin, you guys, that is put out by the WordPress, not the WordPress company, but by Automatic Inc. So it's official. That's something to check out. I don't know about it, Argante, but that looks like it's something that I will be looking into. I'm bookmarking that under my WordPress folder right now to go back and play with. So thank you for that. I had not come across that one. And so we oh, no, Juan. The Gutenberg plugin is not, well, I mean, it's supposed to be used by programmers. They're wanting everybody to use it, but you can go in the plugin and the settings and specify using different hooks to which post and which control you want to give people within that plugin, is what it meant. And on Facebook, I've got a couple of things that I want to say. Yeah, the echo, all of that going through. Maybe that, adjust the Scarlet. Maybe that will work, Edie. I see somebody that the Elegant Things blog. And Brian Ortega. I love this question, Brian. Brian Ortega asks, will Gutenberg dismantle Divi, playing devil's advocate? No. We are working very hard. Well, the dev team, I say we, but as a company we are, to make sure that Divi and Gutenberg play hand in hand. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. That's something that I haven't seen, and that is something that they're working on to make sure that it actually is something that you guys will be able to use every day. But but we are not going to get dismantled by it. I promise you that. Mark on YouTube, how does Divi interact with Gutenberg? I don't know yet. That's something that, like I said, I haven't played with, that I've not seen anything about that. I've only seen the very beginnings of what's coming in Gutenberg, in Divi over the next few months. And while I think they're awesome, what we're doing is great, and I'm really excited to use it, I haven't seen how it interacts with Divi. And Divi and Gutenberg, rather. I don't know. I want to. Like, I'm really excited for them to give us a preview of it so that I know what it looks like. So that's great. That said, I do have a couple of ET news announcements that I really want to get to you guys. I've been really excited this week as these have come out, that to be able to tell you guys. I've wanted to talk to you guys about this all week long. Excuse me, my mouth got dry because I got excited. First of all, there is, Nick announced that we have live support on the website now. We have live chat. You don't have to worry about going into the support forums anymore, though please still do that. But we do have a live chat for any kind of issues that you have. I know that you guys have talked about different times on the stream that you don't get any more, any more kind of excuse me, I got excited. I got distracted by the comments. That you guys don't get the kind of response that you want from the forum sometimes, that it's slow to get a response, that we now have 24-hour live support. I'm really excited about this. I've thought about getting on there just to see and mess with them, but just to see what it is, but I haven't. The thing is, that there is a team doing it. They are so knowledgeable. They are basically, or it's the support. I've told you guys about the support channel in Slack and how I've just followed it and what they're doing. It's them on live chat. They're great. And I think you guys are going to really, really like that. Let me know what you think about it and how it goes for you, because I know that that's been kind of a pain point for some people. So just make sure that you check it out when you have any kind of issues, that you can just go anywhere on the Elegant Theme site, that it will come up and you can just live chat with them from inside your browser using Intercom. So it's great. Let me know how that works for you guys. We're super excited about this. I know this has been in the works for a good long time, and I've been waiting on this to launch. So it's something that I've been just excited to tell you guys about, but I did not want to get you excited about it until I knew that it was for sure happening. Uncle Social says, I think the forum's potentially great, but there's such an archive of already answered questions. It's awful to search and not the best forum software. It makes me sad. You're right about the forum software. I agree. I'm pretty snobby about forum software myself. But what we're doing is, from the live chat, we're now compiling a knowledge base of frequently asked questions, which should be much easier to search for problems. As these kinds of issues come up and people are answering these same questions over and over again, they'll be in the knowledge base as well. And I believe, don't hold me to it, but I believe that the forum is getting included in that too, if I understood right. So that will hopefully, like I said, ease that pain point as well for you, Uncle Social. And sorry, Eddie, I did not mean to mispronounce your name. Eddie, I've got you. How would you proceed with updates when Gutenberg... How should I proceed with upgrades when Gutenberg comes out? Will I be able to do a regular upgrade, or there'll be steps to take with Divi and Gutenberg? Honestly, I would hold off. That is something that I don't know what the process is going to be yet, but anytime there's a big update to anything, especially when there are going to be big updates to two things in their core, which are going to be, WordPress core with Gutenberg and Divi, I would hold off on it. That doesn't mean that if there are any problems, it just means that don't rush in day one before reading any kind of documentation. We will absolutely be putting out all sorts of documentation on what it's going to look like. We've already been talking as a content team how we're going to approach this, that when Gutenberg and Divi come out, that we're going to be working overtime to make sure that you guys will not have to worry about that too much. But just as a precaution, I always suggest holding off just a little bit before upgrading on any software. I wait on my phones until I make sure that there's no patches for new software. I mean, everything. Video games are the only thing that I tend to patch day of because they won't let me play with it otherwise. But I would absolutely say yes, we're going to have specific steps if there are any that need to be taken on how Divi and Gutenberg interact and what you can do to get to that point. I know that for a fact. And yeah, thank you guys. The knowledge base and everything like that. And you can hold me to that, Uncle Social, because that came out of Nick's mouth on the, Nick's fingertips on the thread about the live support. So that's where I got that one from. Now, that said, here is where the contention is going to start. And I say contention because I'm excited. I've been so excited to see what you guys say about this under news. This is the last thing under news. The new sneak peek that we had this week with Matt was that we are moving. We're having a Divi builder experience change, where the backend builder is going to change into what looks like the front end builder. So they're not going to be in the there's not going to be the backend builder like it is right now. When you load up a post and edit in Divi, it is going to look the same from your WordPress dashboard and the same as if you hit edit with Visual Builder. So we're going to have a unified experience coming to Divi pretty soon, where there aren't going to be two completely separate builders where some of them are missing features from the other. Oh no, Mark, it hadn't already. If it updated on doing that, then I haven't updated Divi in time. If that updated, that was within the last day or today to see. Let me make sure that let me see if any emails have come out that it's done that today like it did last week. Watch it say that it has. But we're when you say that you don't have the backend builder, Mark, when you go into an edit post, do you get the purple blocks in there with a big purple block in the center of your screen with the like a black box for text and different things like that, just without being able to see the content of the page when you go just into posts, all post edit? Because that's what we consider the back-end builder. So when you go into that from the future, it will look exactly the same as the front end of the site. And the default is the what we call the back-end builder. I think that may be what you're talking about what you're talking about with default. But that is people are either going to love or hate this. Some people really like what people really like with Divi is that they've used for a long time is the back-end builder, and they haven't moved to the front-end builder. But the thing is, what I think is really important for everybody to keep in mind with this, if you use the default builder in the admin panel, is that you don't get all the features because it's written in a different JavaScript library. That it is written in Backbone, and React is what we used for the front-end builder. Because of that, we're maintaining two JavaScript libraries and basically having to double development time on features. So by doing this, we're going to be significantly cutting down both support time and development time to be able to keep a unified experience so that things can really roll out more smoothly, more quickly, and make sure that we're not troubleshooting one or the other on whatever it is that we're doing. It's going to have a little bit of growing pains for everybody, and it's going to have growing pains for me. I use the front-end builder pretty much exclusively, but there are times I go in and use the back-end builder. I was using it this morning on a site that I was messing with to get screenshots. So I don't have a timeline on this yet. I'm hearing soonish. I don't know. They're working out the final bugs, I believe, on it. I don't have a date on it, so I don't want to say anything, but I don't think it is going to be far off. I'm hoping really soon, and the reason I'm hoping really soon is because I want to get this out of the way so people can get used to using this builder before we move into Gutenberg, so that we're not changing everything for people. Pending that's how it would change when Gutenberg comes. We don't want that much of a thing, so I'm hoping it comes out soon. I think it will. But yeah, so that's the news. There was actually quite a bit of news for the Divi community this week. There's a lot of stuff going on. So I'd seen somebody had mentioned. I'm trying to see. I don't know where I saw it. It's been up there a little bit, and I wanted to go back to it. Video Superhero had mentioned, will more attention be brought to menus? Yes, when we get into the theme builder video, we're going to be addressing the menus as well. That should be something that comes when we get the theme builder update, which I'm crossing my fingers for is also soon, but have absolutely no idea, just because I just because I want it. And do I know of a better menu making module? I don't. I've ended up coding and CSSing all of the menus that I've done. It is not something I would suggest. I haven't actually used menu plugins in about 3 years because I've just kind of stuck with what Divi has. So I cannot suggest one that's actually worth using now. I'm hoping somebody else can. Tobias, yep, we are. That's going to be in the theme builder as well with the header customization. And Jay, what do you mean on white labeling? White labeling what in particular? I see that when somebody mentions headers and footers, we put it back a week. But that would be that just made me giggle. But yeah, so. That was all of the news, like I said. If you're joining in, if you've come in late to the show at all, or this is your first time watching, This Week in WordPress goes through the stuff that was published this week in WordPress and really tries to provide you with the best news, tutorials, and resources to kind of make your weekend and next week go a little bit easier. So we're moving into the tutorials right now so that we can see, really make sure that next week is more productive. I'm seeing people talking about they have a question about custom posts. I made a custom post type with the CTP UI plugin, but what I'm experiencing is that I'm not able to get rid of the standard post title or metadata. I don't know. That one I don't know because I've not used that particular plugin. I've always had to use CSS whenever I do stuff like that just to do a display none. Tobias, yep, there you go. So I do that. And by white labeling like that with the, like you say, let me find it, Jay, with the ability to change the logo name and colors of the dashboard, I don't know if that's going to be in a Divi release. I know there are plugins to do that already, and I don't have any idea if we're going to actually put in anything. I would not expect it to actually change the white labeling of the admin dashboard. There are some out there, though. There is a way to do that, and I actually think there's a tutorial for that on our blog. And Colombian says, I hope because they use the backend all the time, but they can just use the wireframe mode. Yes. Yes, the Divi front-end builder has a wireframe mode that if you're not used to it, works pretty much just like the default editor on the back end. So you can press Shift W and bring it up like Colombian Hosting says, and it will bring you up just a square grid of what the blocks are and what labels you can do. You can also rename any of the blocks that you want by right-clicking them and selecting rename, so that you don't just have 100 blocks that say text, 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 blurb, blurb, blurb. So that's also very good. So check that out. Heather, yes, we will have header and footer customization. That is coming in the theme builder update. It was previewed back in late March, I believe. You can search the archives, or last week's This Week in WordPress had a link to it as well. Let me see if I can find it in my notes here. And then what it is that will include the header and footer updates on that, where you can customize those a lot more that way. So that is the link to the theme builder to the theme builder update. So you can check that out. Like, it looks awesome, and I cannot wait on a personal level to find for that to come in and use it. But under the tutorials, like I said earlier, I wanted to get you guys to know that if you're new to Divi, and that is great if you are. I think it's wonderful that you're here. Thank you so very much for being a part of our community. And WP MU Dev, which is always the biggest mouthful in the world for me to say, put out an everything you need to know to get started with Divi post. It's great. It is one of my favorite tutorials that I've read in a long time, just because it is so in-depth and breaks down what Divi is, what a builder is, how it's a theme, that they really did break everything down. They even start with telling you what rows, sections, and modules and things like that are, just so that you know as you're building, so that when you're looking at the visual builder, you know what it is, just broken down. They did good stuff there, so I really want to call them out on that. Judy is now nude to Divi. I suppose that that's why we don't have video chat everywhere, because when there are people who are nude to Divi coming in, that would probably make this not a family-friendly show. That I'm kidding. My accent and how quickly I talk makes it where I don't enunciate nearly as much as I should. Though I did when I was probably about 24-ish years old, and I met some people from Utah came to Alabama, and I met them, and one of them just looked at me and said, "BJ, you have the weirdest accent I've ever heard." And I just kind of looked at him, I was like, "Why? What?" He's like, "You have a really thick Southern accent, but you enunciate every word, and I know what you're saying." And I was like, yeah, it was theater. I had theater background. I was a theater minor and did it for so long that I was on stage, and so most of the time I do try to enunciate my T's and K's and S's a lot, and so it may sound a little funny to people like that. But when I get really excited, I end up not doing it. I say things like "new to Divi," and it's like, "Oh man, I'm nude to Divi," and you're naked, and it's a thing. So. And thank you. I'm glad that I got you to know what Southern drawl was. Also, if you ever hear somebody, I don't know if this is a thing in a lot of other places, but the idea of a diphthong, where we extend a singular syllable vowel sound into two, where instead of saying two, I would say two, where it would go like that. When you hear that kind of drawl, that's called diphthonging. So it's always really fun when people are talking about that and you hear a drawl. The word drawl actually takes in diphthonging and the idea of slow talking, that Southern people traditionally draw our words out and talk a lot slower than other places in America, which is weird because technically, grammatically, and I guess anthropologically is the way it is. Etymologically, we have the closest accent to British in terms of linguistics and how our sounds come out and are pronounced to the original British. And there's a whole socio-linguistic thing going on there. So yeah, I get really interested in that. Can you tell that I was an English teacher for a decade? But yeah, so that's really cool. Sorry to go off on my tangent about that when we're talking about that. But I get super excited whenever I start thinking about like that. One of my best friends at work used to had her PhD in sociolinguistics, so we talked a whole lot about everything. But you can read more about that if you want. I just don't have links to it because it was all up here. So in the tutorial section, let me get back out to that. That the link building, this is one of my favorite ones that I've seen on here in a long time. Y'all know I love Smashing Magazine, and they've brought up an article says that there is a link building, the Citizens Field Guide, because I thought this was really important because people are talking so much about SEO these days and how much page speed matters, and page speed matters a lot, but we can't forget that we need links, that people need to be able to link back to our site, and we need to be able to link out from our site. That if you're not linking out from your site but expecting people to link in, that is actually an SEO problem. So they do a lot here in this article about talking about trust scores and making sure that you're not verified, but a valid website. That they talk about social sharing and how things like that play in, what you can do with broken links and what comment spam does. It's a very in-depth article that I wanted to call out to you guys because I'm going to sit down and I'm going to break that down for myself into actionable points over the weekend for different projects that I have. So I want you guys to check that out as well because it's really, really good. I also see in the comments here, Tobias mentioned, shout out to Eileen. I did not think to link to her thank you post. If you are have been a long-standing Divi longstanding Divi user, a member of the Divi Nation, you may remember Eileen. She was the very first guest on the Divi Nation podcast, and she started the Divi theme users Facebook group, which is close to 30,000 people right now. And so you can request entry to it as well if you're a thing. She recently had to step back from administrating the group because of health issues, and she wrote a long post about that, and we do wish her incredibly well. We wish her the best and swiftest recovery she can get. It is a hard fight against cancer, she said. So I really, really feel for her, because that is a nightmare to deal with, and I can't even imagine being the person dealing with it herself. So we love you, Eileen, and we hope that everything goes well. In the meantime, that Facebook group, we at Elegant Themes have taken over moderating that group and are looking to make it and really just maintaining that community that Eileen built and spent such a wonderful job doing, that we are really hoping that we can keep the spirit of what she's done around there going, honestly, because it's a fantastic community. So check out the Divi theme users Facebook group there as well. And I see Judy come here for the amazing curation. Aw. I agree. I love the people, Judy. We also love the people we meet on this playground. That is, like I've said 100 times, this, and with the podcast that I do, everything, I'm all about community. Y'all should know this about me by now, but I love the people more than anything else on here. So, and that's why I love doing this so much. But yeah, thank you, Tobias, for bringing up Eileen so that everyone would be able to know and send her well wishes. So in the tutorials, the last of the tutorials I actually wanted to talk about, because there's not a whole lot, but the one I wanted to bring up was TorqueMag's article about 10 highly effective web design tips backed by research. And what I love articles like this, because we talk about this stuff all the time, and they really do have common have common things that we do. I saw a comment, I'm sorry. They really have common things that a lot of us do already and that we know about. But the reason I wanted to call this one out in particular is based on a discussion that we had last week, and it was talking about the sliders, when we were discussing sliders and whether or not we should use sliders or headers and things like that. And they did they had a Notre Dame University did a study on sliders, and the data on it shows that 90% of clicks on sliders are for the very first slide, that all of the other slides share that 10% and are broken down into like the 2% each, but 90% of the click-through rates are done on the first slide, which is why I was saying that a header section may be a better option than a slider in particular, or using a slider as just a one or two thing that bounces back and forth. And Roy Ward here on Facebook had actually did the due diligence on this. Thank you so much, Roy, to be able to pull this, that Jason had published. They had to do a custom header using Divi that with menus on it earlier this summer, and apparently I'd missed that one, Roy. I did not see that one when it came through, or else I would have been pointing people at it too. So you are my hero, so that people can look at that one as well. Thank you. That one's great. So check this stuff out. Check this article on TorqueMag out, because they have the data for things that you may not want to change. That they have prioritizing scrolling over clicking, that people will scroll on a page a lot more often, 30% more often, to see more stuff than clicking a link to go to the next page. So check that out on here, because the reason I like this is it's data-based, and whenever something is informed by numbers, we can see maybe that's a reason I should change to this. I like that.
I really like it whenever I can say, okay, I'm doing this because 57% of the people are doing this, and anything like that. I love seeing the numbers on the reasons behind. I'm a numbers guy, so check that out. And Tobias, yes, sliders can be fantastic. I love a beautiful slider. I just tend to not like them when they have 4 or 5 slides on them. Yes, Arlie, that is in the tutorial section of the description of this video. It's the one labeled 10 highly effective web design tips backed by research. It is the next to last one under the tutorial section right above the resources. Which, speaking of, let's move into resources. If you're just tuning in, we're moving into the last section of the stream where we have already gone through the news and the tutorials. And you can always go back when this stream is over because it will be saved on our Facebook and YouTube pages to be able to go back and watch the news and tutorials and see any of the comments and things like that you may have missed. So check that out. Under the resources, there wasn't a whole lot this week of just stuff that was really, really great. Like I said, I had half the number of articles this week to choose from to curate. So there was I picked the ones that I thought were absolutely the best. And usually I do, but I usually pick ones that I think are kind of cool too. But this week, it was just absolutely the best because I didn't have the choice of all the stuff that was just kind of cool. But I like the one that WooCommerce did on how much does it cost to run a store. I always like thinking about that when they break it down by customer experience enhancements and things like that you may not think about when opening up an e-commerce shop. Just the idea that you may not have a wish list on there. You may not have abandoned cart remarketing, which you still have to be able to pay attention to because of GDPR, but you can still do that. Fast checkouts where you don't have to go, click through, where you have it all on one page. Stuff like that they talk about is really, really expensive sometimes, and you may not have built that into the store or the client cost, the client project that you're working on. So I really did want to bring this up because they just talk about a lot of stuff. Like they have tons of links in here from product page features and customizing the store. And one thing they don't actually get into because it's just talking about WooCommerce, because it's just talking about the website side of it, is they don't talk about inventory. They don't talk about the cost that it can come for warehousing, anything like that with shipping. They don't talk anything about that stuff. So it's always really, really interesting to consider what you have to consider when you see somebody bring it up. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't add a wish list into this last store that I made. And it's like, oh, it's $79. I can do that. Or, just looking at the cost that it can be. So I thought it was a cool breakdown that they did. And then Torque Mag, again, they published a bunch this week too on the best WordPress security plugins, and they compared the pros and cons and features of each. And what I like that they did in this one was it's not just the same old ones over and over again. They actually included SecuPress, Malcare, and SiteLock on this one, which I don't see SiteLock a lot anymore, but it's still really good. And I met the Malcare guys at WordCamp US this year. I don't have it on now. I was actually wearing a Malcare shirt that I got at WordCamp earlier today. I've got my WordCamp Birmingham shirt on right now. So they have some cool ones that you may not have used before, and I wanted to throw this in there so that you could see the free version of Malcare. You could see what's going on with iThemes and Securi and WordFence. That they just broke them all down and have bulleted lists of what's there. So if you've never installed a security plugin, look at that link under resources. And if you are not happy with your security, or you think you need to up it a little bit and figure out exactly what you need for your site, they talk about some that other people that you may not have thought about, that other people in their sites don't talk about a lot, especially with Malcare being new. I'm pretty sure that it launched around 6 months ago, maybe. It's owned and done by Blog Vault, so it's cool stuff in that article. Excuse me. And then this one was neat. the Code NWP did an article called "Is Going to Conferences Worth the Hassle?" This one, y'all. This one is this one's important because you guys may. It costs a lot to go. Let me just start this over. It costs a lot to go to conferences. It costs a lot to go to WordCamps. It costs a lot to go to any other professional development conferences. And your job may ask you to justify why you need to go to any conference that you have, especially if you're not presenting. Which, if you're presenting, you're acting as an ambassador for your company in a lot of ways. But they were talking about this one specifically about WordCamp Europe this year that was over about a month ago. That they talked about that it was hard to say whether it was worth attending, and you have to be able to look at it on either a monetary side. Can you justify it for your employers or for your pocketbook? I mean, honestly, if you can afford to go, are you going to get the amount of money was worth out of it when you go? And that's something that every person needs to really consider when they're looking at this and you're in discussions, because some companies, like I know that this year we've cut back going to different WordCamps with large groups, that we're going to focus in on the Divi Nation meetups because that's what we want people to focus on more than trying to spread out one or two people at a lot of different WordCamps. That said, we're still going to be at WordCamp US this year. That's great. I know I live 2 hours away from WordCamp US, so I mean, I'm going to be there regardless, even if that one's out of pocket. But all of us are going from ET as far as I'm aware right now. And so it's something that you have to consider about whether it's worth it. And for me, it's always worth it. Every time I've gone to a conference, it's been worth it except for one single time. And no, now that I'm thinking about it, I made a contact there that was fantastic for last year. So no, every single conference I've gone to about WordPress has been amazing because I've made professional connections and talked to people and really, really made that network happen like a lot of people want you to do at conferences, even if I never attended a session. There are 2 of the last 4 conferences I did not go to a single session, and I feel like I got more out of them than I did any of the others. That said, sometimes it's not worth going. Sometimes the panels aren't what you thought they were. Sometimes you don't talk to a single person. When I was in Learning Center administration, I went to conferences all the time, really all the time. I was going to at least one conference a year, sometimes 2. And Learning Center people are nice, but they are not the WordPress and Divi community. I did not make friends there like I made at WordCamps. I didn't make the kind of professional connections with whom I talk all the time like I do with the Divi one. The whether a conference is worth it to you is different because I got a lot professionally out of it in terms of the topics that I saw and the information that I learned, but I didn't get a lot out of it networking wise. So it's really one or the other. So reading through that is a good way for some of you guys, I think, to maybe consider whether or not you want to up your conference game or pull it back a little bit. Because I know that our company specifically has been looking at that this year as something that we find really important and that we want to focus in on what's best. And Juan is having to go. Enjoy your Friday night, Juan. I hope that it goes well and hope that your dinner is delicious. And finally, the one that I thought was also cool, just to wrap up here because I'm running a little bit out of time. I have to talk about Yoast. I mean, you guys, it wouldn't be right if I didn't talk about Yoast because you guys made fun of me one week when I didn't. That they are, we've talked about this before, they are talking about, wow, Did you hear my accent? I said there. I diphthonged it. That they're talking about what the future of voice search is. We've talked about this before, about the semantic web and using semantic keywords on how you want the your URLs to look. You want your content to be readable by search engines and voice. So voice queries can sometimes make a lot of sense. Like some people was saying, like the writer was asking her husband, I like to use voice when I can't type or while he's cooking and that kind of thing. And then the results that you get are wrong. That I've asked Google. It didn't turn on this time. I've asked Google to do something like search for robot cubelets, and instead it called somebody named Robert that I've had in my phone before. So the voice results that you get from your phone or your Echo or anything like that may be different than what it is. So they're talking about how to crawl and how to SEO that kind of thing, where everything is linked together, where they talk about how you may start working toward different ecosystems working toward each other, where Siri would be connected to Apple TV and all of this, where you can just ask her to do something and it gets over there. But what is really cool is the idea that those would be connected and how you would program that. And then sometimes you get have you guys ever sometimes I've stopped asking questions to my voice search and just say things like Amazon Funko Pop Incredibles 2 instead of saying, find me Incredibles Funko Pops on Amazon, because it doesn't come back. Because it doesn't come back with the right answers. So it's something to think about in how we design our sites and how we design our databases and URL structure, as well as cross references and sitemaps, to make sure that we're taking advantage of search while we're doing it in a way that makes sense. And Uncle Social, I just got to read this one on here. This is going to be good for the last thing. Hell will freeze over before I have an Amazon Alexa, Google Home, or a surveillance node in my house. My phone has voice search off and a mic block app installed. That's intense. I do use voice search and still have the mic on. I should turn them off, I know, because I swear that this thing listens to me and brings up ads and suggested tweets for things I've had conversations about within like 10 minutes that I haven't talked about in literally 5 years. But that's something completely different. I'm not a fan of Echo, Home, all of those, but some people are, and a lot of people are, and enough people are that we as web designers, web developers, are required and need to, if we're wanting to make sure that our job stays stable and secure, that we accommodate that, even if we don't partake of it ourselves. So that said, think about that. And Mark, yeah, I know that's the least of my problems. That's the creepy part. That is the symptom of the actual problem for that. And I did read that, Uncle. I did see the Alexa recording a private conversation and sending it to a contact. I did read that. That's special. So that's it for this week, you guys. I really appreciate y'all being here with me. Remember, every week is just a delight with you guys. We do this at 2 o'clock every Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, every week, every Friday, to make Friday afternoons go a little bit better. And if you want to get notifications whenever Elegant Themes goes live, because we have multiple live streams every week, you can get on YouTube now if you're there and click the bell, which I think is somewhere underneath here, and you'll get notifications whenever we go live with anything. And on Facebook, you can also do that. There's not a bell, but you can go to our page. Just go to facebook.com/elegantthemes, where you're viewing this right now if you're on Facebook, and tell them that you want to be notified whenever we go live there as well, so that it will give you a push notification or just a notification in your on the website whenever we go live. That would be awesome, you guys. do that. Tell your friends, and I will see you guys next week. I hope you have an absolutely amazing time this weekend, and enjoy the summer or the winter if you're in Australia. And 3 a.m. The Mark, you are at 3 a.m. You are up at 3 a.m. watching this. Man, that is dedication, because I don't think I could be up at 3 a.m. doing this. That would drive me crazy. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I hope you guys have an awesome week. And remember, if you need anything at all regarding Divi, we have live chat now. Remember, we have open blog submissions. So throw stuff that way if you have anything to say. And I'm always on Twitter, and we're always here on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So y'all have a great one. And I love all of you guys as well. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. Bye, you guys.